The carbon tax will affect everybody. So this protest is something that all Canadians, doesn't matter where you come from, what your walk of life, what your job is, it's something that can unite us all and that we are all struggling under, so it's good to take a stand against it.
It's an issue that affects everybody, whether they realize it or not. I mean, I had a neighbor in my condo complex get into an argument with the other day because she's a Trudeau supporter, and she says, "You should send back the money he's sending you." It's like she doesn't realize it's our money in the first place.
I think it's just really great for me, especially my generation, to come out and show our support just because we're so young and
you guys are the future generation.
We're the future generation, and I think it's good to make a point that we're still coming out and showing our support for everything, right?
There's just a growing awareness that the corrupt government's on a trajectory that isn't in line with the goodness of the people, and I think people are just fed up with it. It spreads the message, and just to lend support to the cause.
Adam Sos here for Rebel News, just west of Calgary, Alberta, where for the 12th day, protesters who have been camping out continue to oppose the carbon tax implemented by Justin Trudeau on April 1st.
But right now, all we see is premiers misinforming Canadians and wanting to take away the Canada carbon rebate checks that are making a huge difference in people's lives.
Now, I had the opportunity originally to actually cover this protest from the skies in the Rebel copter, but I wanted to get down onto the ground and speak to these people firsthand. The last time we saw protests of this magnitude, government officials overreached, limited people, and fundamentally took away their freedoms with COVID-19 restrictions. Canadians said enough is enough that time around and insisted that they deserve the capacity to live their lives freely. This time around, the overbearing politicians are attacking people's capacity to live their lives. This time it's financially through inflation, taxing, and now ultimately the carbon tax. It has gotten so bad that Canadians are once again banding together and saying enough is enough as they call for Justin Trudeau to axe the carbon tax. So how long have you been out here protesting?
It's my first day today. I've been gonna come, but I made the effort today.
And what motivated you to come out and participate?
The carbon tax for one. Family's struggling, so I'm here for my children, my grandchildren, and my country.
I've been doing rallies now for going on 4 years, and it's important. We need to stop the insanity in this country. I mean, the tax is just killing people. People are losing their homes, their jobs. They're now on the street, and these are people that are, people have mental health issues and things like that. But these are just ordinary working people that are losing it, and this tax is killing them. 23% is not. It's not just some little thing. It's a lot of money.
Trudeau, I just disagree with what he's doing. We've got that access tax. It's just got to go because we can't afford to live. Nobody can afford to live. Everybody here in Canada, it's not good.
I think we're being taxed into absolute poverty. The Trudeau Liberals are intent on eliminating the middle class. They only want two classes of citizens, the elites, which is themselves, and they want to make the rest of us as poor as possible.
Yeah, it's my first time here. I think it's just really great for me, especially my generation, to come out and show our support just because we're so young and
you guys are the future generation.
We're the future generation, and I think it's good to make a point that we're still coming out and showing our support for everything, right?
There's just a growing awareness that the corrupt government's on a trajectory that isn't in line with the goodness of the people, and I think people are just fed up with it. It spreads the message, and just to lend support to the cause. I think it's the political ideology that's scaring people the most and the ramifications of it. I mean, we've done this social experiment before and seen the results of it, and I don't think anybody here really wants to go down that road again. So we're looking for more of a back to the people, grassroots. Let's have some good governance.
Very happy to be joined now by Judy, who's one of the organizers and an administrator on the Facebook page that is helping organize these protests. I guess my first question for you would be, what is sort of the main motivation for people that you're talking to for coming down to this protest?
Well, definitely the main motivation, I would say, is the fact that the carbon tax will affect everybody. So this protest is something that all Canadians, doesn't matter where you come from, what your walk of life, what your job is, it's something that can unite us all and that we are all struggling under, so it's good to take a stand against it.
Now, the last time there was sort of anything of this magnitude was during the Freedom Convoy, where Canadians sort of banded together and they're like, no, we have a right to live our lives. Is the same sort of energy taking place here? Is it the same sort of message of freedom and simply people being able to carry on with their lives?
Absolutely. And just seeing it all come together. I've been here, today is day 13, so I rolled in the Sunday night before April 1st. So just seeing how it all kind of started off small and then now it's just growing. The word is getting out there. Different protests in different provinces are starting to pop up. So this is, it's just watching everybody doing what they can with what they have when they can. And it's beautiful to see.
Brilliant. They're lovely people. You know, I've been offered coffee and buns and a breakfast. Okay, I brought my own. I've offered to buy coffees and that for people. You know, I've brought some logs for them to burn on the fire. It's just something to help. You know, they need a bit of help here for the long haul.
And everybody's really friendly, get along well together. Both days that I've been here, there haven't been any police around, so that's a good thing. It's an issue that affects everybody, whether they realize it or not. I mean, I had a neighbor in my condo complex get into an argument with the other day because she's a Trudeau supporter, and she says, you should send back the money he's sending you. It's like she doesn't realize it's our money in the first place.
We got to get more people woken up and realize what's going on in this country, just because of the way that all of the Parliament people just seem to dictate whatever they want to us, and we don't seem to have a voice anymore. We got to have our voices so we can actually have this country running the way it should be.
And the reality is, I guess the future generations are going to be footing the tab for all of these taxes. How does that make you feel?
It's kind of scary, being as we're going through it right now, and then everything's coming in harder, it seems, anyway, right? So
scary. And
scary.
How many young people don't even realize what's actually going on in the world and stuff like that? They're just accepting it, and everybody's thinking that it's all a good thing or whatever, because the way it's dictated, it's totally off as to what we all know it is. It's, again, like we said, scary, and it's good for young people to come out here and actually realize what their futures are in hold for.
What do you make of the sort of conflict? The government of Alberta very much at odds with the federal government, but not really in a capacity, at least so far, or at least they haven't done something to completely shift the narrative to undo the carbon tax. What do you make of that sort of tension?
I think there's a lot of theater and that there's not a lot of talk, but not much action. Everybody likes their good pay with the government, but I mean, it's at odds with the people and what we need.
What about Danielle Smith?
I think she's done a good job, and she's struggling, against just a tide of people who are against what she's trying to achieve. I think her heart's in the right place, but, the game's kind of rigged against her for sure.
And is there anything she could do now to sort of prove that she's working on behalf of the people who are concerned out here?
No, I think she's done a great job so far, actually, and contrary to what you read a lot in the popular media, she's done an excellent job.
Justin Trudeau's refusal to meet with Premier about the carbon tax, and also of what he say about Premier spreading disinformation about it.
Well, I can tell you his answer, that he met with the premiers in 2016. I think some agency, I don't know who it was, pointed out that none of the premiers currently at the table were at the table in 2016. In addition to that, when they first implemented it, they talked about it having a $50 per ton ceiling. And then they got elected, and now it's $170 per ton by 2030. And when he's asked if it's going to go higher, he's not answering. So how high is this going to go?
What might you say to sort of Canadians out there, obviously, or Albertans out there? Tons of people are driving by honking, clearly supporting the message. Some people may sort of naysay or demean or say, oh, those are just so-and-so. What do you say about those sorts of people who don't understand what you're doing here?
Well, I used to be one of them, so I always keep the hope alive. Just right before the trucker convoy, I was, following the narrative. I was very happy to be completely up to date with my vaccinations, and I wore a mask everywhere, and then the trucker convoy happened, and just seeing how the media lied about it is exactly when I kind of turned the corner, and I haven't looked back since. So I always like to say, if you're in the area, come by. We love the honking, we love all the support, but pop in. I mean, this morning we had a couple, we fed them breakfast, and a lot of people that have never protested before. Yeah. We had a young guy here, he was here for 5 days. Yeah. He lived in his van, but he'd never protested before. And it is like a coming together of community. It's that old good sense of fellowship that a lot of people have been missing, and it's great to be a part of it.
We've seen sort of the Death March troopers kind of making their way through, people playing Star Wars themes, all that. But what's the interaction? You're the sort of liaison with police. What has the interaction been like with law enforcement?
Well, we've had 6 different ones. We've had 2 for the first 2 days, 2 for the next 2 days, and today is day 4 where we haven't had or needed a liaison here. We've been keeping it peaceful. We've been keeping it legal, and no, they've been good. They've been very understanding. They're against the carbon tax as well, so that's been quite refreshing to see all Canadians, even ones in uniform, standing with us. Not standing technically, but supporting us in their own way.
Do you have any messages for Justin Trudeau?
There it goes. the horn. Justin, resign. That about covers it. I don't think he will, but he needs to go. He's paid off the media. Like folks like yourself, you're the only ones that get the message out. He's made life just horribly unlivable for us. Keeps raising the taxes. He doesn't care about Canadians. He's only worried about his own agendas.
Resign. Just flat out resign. Go back to Cuba.
Resign, get out. Yeah, absolutely. Like as of yesterday.
Trudeau, Freeland, all WEF members must be arrested. All their assets seized. Period. We cannot have an outside interest controlling our country.
Well, folks, the majority of our conversations and interviews have been taking place on the side of the highway that I'm currently located on. But as you can see behind me, as trucks continue to honk as they drive by, there's a secondary location set up for these protests, and that's across the highway. And that is quite simply for want of space. So many people are showing up and standing in solidarity in opposition to the carbon tax that they've now indeed needed to take over 2 sides of the highway. As the nationwide protests against the carbon tax continue to take place across this country, I look behind me as all the flags of every province in this great nation are being shown together in a sign of solidarity. That solidarity not exclusively being shown in the flags, but in the vehicles passing by, I'd say a majority of which, especially the trucks, honking their horns in support for the protest against the carbon tax that is taking place here. We're going to have folks here regularly covering this story for all of our coverage of the protests to axe the carbon tax. Go to stopthecarbontax.com. And as always, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. For Rebel News, I'm Adam Sos. If you agree that the carbon tax does nothing to help the environment and is simply another wealth redistribution scheme, as clearly the truckers who are honking behind me seem to agree, I'm encouraging you to go sign our petition at stopthecarbontax.com.